Welcome to the P.I.N System Workshop. I'm Ginger Harrington, author, podcaster, and longtime blogger at gingerharrington.com. I'm excited to share my P.I.N system, a simple Pinterest workflow that can help you drive traffic to your website and grow your email list without burning out on social media. If that sounds good to you, let's dive in. Why Pinterest? Most social media posts disappear pretty quickly after they're posted. Instagram and Facebook algorithms are consistently changing. And if you're like me, you find that your reach has dwindled over time. And that makes it feel like Instagram and Facebook aren't really worth the time and effort. Pinterest, on the other hand, is a search and discovery engine. People come to Pinterest looking for content versus looking for social connections. With over 522 million active users and a longer pin life, Pinterest is an evergreen platform where your content keeps working for you. Here we can see the average lifespan of Instagram is 48 hours. The average lifespan of a pin is 6 to 12 months, and it can drive traffic to your website for several years. I have pins that continue to drive traffic to my website, and they are 5 years old. If you look at the math, it's well worth the time to invest in Pinterest if your goal is to drive traffic to your website. Let's dig into the P.I.N system. Step 1 is planning. Pinterest now prioritizes fresh content, and that means different designs, different URLs for web pages, and different text overlays, keywords, titles, and things like that. For every blog post, podcast, lead magnet, or other content that you have, you can create a variety of pins. Gone are the days where we create one pin and repin it again and again and again. In fact, Pinterest actually penalizes you for repinning content too frequently because they want to prioritize that fresh content. For a single piece of content, I repurpose it in a variety of ways. It publishes as a podcast and it goes live as a blog post on Tuesday mornings. I send out an email to my newsletter. Then I do social media and Pinterest to help promote the content. So I have a URL from my website. I have URLs from Apple and Spotify and the podcast platforms. I have a URL for that content from YouTube. If I have a lead magnet for that content, I also have a URL for the opt-in form. So that gives me a variety of URLs to create pins for, make a certain number of title pins for the content. And then I like to pull out quotes and do several quote pins. I'll repurpose those and post those on Instagram and Facebook because quotes are popular content that are highly shareable and people do like to pin those. You heard me mention that Pinterest prioritizes fresh content. And maybe you're thinking, well, exactly what is fresh content? Fresh content is changing something up with a different URL. You can use a different image. You can use different keywords. You can use different text. You can put it in a different board. So those are 5 ways to freshen up a pin. When we use all 5 of those for a new piece of content, like a new blog or a new podcast, that is the top level of freshness. Now, let's say we want to come back and we've got the same URL, but we've used a different image. That's a very fresh pin. Maybe we've used different words. You can see in the examples that I've changed up the titles some. I've changed up the layout. I've used the same image in this example. So it's not completely fresh. I could use different images and I probably should. to make it even more fresh. All of those are ways to create fresh pins, and that'll make even more sense here in a few minutes. Maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed, thinking, how do I have time to create so many pins for a single blog post? Remember, each pin has the possibility of driving traffic to your website for a long period of time. And so it is worth taking some time to create different pins, but there's a way to do it with ease, and that is using Canva templates. You can work with Canva in either a free or a paid account. Create a set of templates that match your brand and batch design your pins. When I create a blog post, part of that workflow is creating the pins. It is all part of the same workflow. Write the blog post, load it in the website, create the images and the pins for it. And then once the blog post has published, I will schedule the pins. So create several at one time. Most Pinterest users are on mobile, so make your pins easy to read with high contrast, large text, clear text. That's something that I'm continuing to work on in my own pins. I want to show you in Canva my workflow. Here I am in a design that is a pin size. At the top of my design, I've labeled it. I do this so that in the dashboard on the home page, I can quickly and easily identify my pin design. To make things easy, I have two main title pins for my podcast. And then I have the blog post version titles and quotes. So what I do is I just make a copy. Go down, make a copy, and then I move it up so that the new copies are all here together. And then I'm going to change my title for the next one. Change my title, change my episode number here, and that one's done. Here, I'm going to change out the picture. And I'm going to change the title and the blurb about the article. Then I will go into the grid view and I will label everything. The most recent is first because that's what I want to work on. That's the one I want to copy for the next week. You could also put all of these in individual files, but I like a clean dashboard. I don't want as many designs in my dashboard, so I tend to group my designs. When it's time to share, I'm going to download these as pings. If they're going on my website, I download those as JPEGs because the file is not as big. It makes the website faster. And I'm going to pick the numbers that I want. So for this one, maybe I'm doing 10, 11, 12, and 13. So I'll come down here and I can change this to 10 to 13. I could also just do the current page. Once I've downloaded it, I go in and I change the file name for the specific episode and file it with that episode. So that's just my system and workflow. I want to show you real quick how to find the templates when you're figuring out what templates you're going to use. Here is my blank page. And I'm looking for templates. Maybe you're just getting this started. If you come up here to the design tab on the sidebar, and you can, I'm going to click that I just want Pinterest pins. And then I can scroll down and I see a wide variety of pins because we want to make sure it's visible easily on mobile. That's really visible. So I'm going to come in here and I can change the font to my font. I can change the colors to my colors. Let's say I want another one. I'm going to add a page and I'm going to go back here. I'm going to look for another one. That's a nice one. So you can see how to find your images for your initial templates that you're going to choose. It is quick, it's easy, and it's actually a lot of fun too. So I hope that's helpful for you. Next up is I, implement a smart schedule. Using Tailwind, or you can also schedule pins directly on Pinterest. Schedule at least one pin for each URL on week 1. I'll schedule another one week 2, week 5, 3 months, 6 months. And that gives me a variety of pins to a variety of URLs that are attached to this repurposed content that I have. Many of us have seasonal content, products, articles, podcasts that are Christmas related, Mother's Day related, Thanksgiving. All of those are great opportunities to refresh content over time. Any seasonal content, you want to schedule that 90 to 45 days ahead of time because people are pinning well before an event. They're looking for ideas, content, and inspiration. Here's an important tip. Don't pin the same URL more than once a week. We don't want to pin it so often that it gets picked up as spam in the Pinterest algorithm. So I tend to schedule mine about 8 days apart when I'm doing consecutive weeks. And then I schedule them for longer periods so that over time, there's still fresh pins for that piece of content. Finally, nurture and refresh your best content. How do you figure out what your best content is? Google Analytics will help you find your top blog or website pages. Pinterest and Tailwind Insights can help you find top performing pins and boards. It's well worth taking the time to create fresh pins for the top performing content the next year, or maybe you're going to do a cycle of every 2 or 3 years. Take the idea and then create the workflow that works for you. Create a new pin or two for those top links. Use a different image, change up the title, change the keywords, the description, and things like that. Put it in a different board. All of that will help give them a fresh boost in Pinterest's algorithm. Let's recap. This is a lot of information. P is plan your pins with variety using templates. I is implement a smart schedule to keep your content circulating. N is nurture and refresh your top performing content over time. This system helps you get more mileage from your content, less hustle, and more results. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this workshop helpful. I'd love for you to stay connected. Follow me on Pinterest at Ginge Harrington, and you can see how I'm doing things by looking at the pins in my boards. Listen to the Habits of Hope podcast for weekly encouragement, and visit gingerharrington.com for inspirational articles and free resources to help you grow in faith. Friends, don't forget to download your free Pin System Pinterest workflow guide. It will help you put everything into action with ease. Friends, let's pin smarter, not harder.
So good. You want to grab the gift below and also reach out to this speaker. All of her links are right there, just underneath us there. You can go to her page and see the links to her, website, her Amazon page, if she has one, her women speakers profile. All of us here are available to speak at your upcoming events. So do follow up with her. And I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for this session. And we will see you in just a moment in the next session.